The show focused on delivering beneficial information on everything to do with products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on AM 650.
Welcome back. This is Recovery Radio on this episode on AM 650. Sterling Fox along with Lorinda Strang and Anne-Marie McCullough from the Orchard Recovery Center over on Bowen Island. And we talked a little bit in our opening segment. We mentioned interventions and the whole process of recovery, which is essentially a lifelong activity. And so this connects rather well with an attitude or a program. I'm trying to remember which it is. It's the whole continuum of care at the Orchard Recovery Center, Lorinda. Is it an actual program, or is that the way the center is set up, period?
The beginning of the process is our primary care.
Right.
And then we have several different lengths of stay. So if you are somebody that we think would benefit from staying longer in treatment, we have a 90-day program.
Oh.
And then we also have from there, once you've gone through that, you can continue to stay on a month-to-month basis where people have stayed for up to a year.
Interesting. What would a typical, Anne-Marie, what would a typical primary care period last? Is that, now Lorinda's talking about people who want to stick around for months if they want, because they feel that's the necessary time to spend getting their lives back together. But if you don't have months, what would a typical primary care period last?
Well, our full program is 6 weeks.
Okay.
It's a 42-day program. We have an abbreviated version, which is 28 days, and then the 90-day program, which is actually a combination of our primary care and our extended living or sober living homes. So you would spend 6 weeks in primary and then the other 6 weeks in our sober living facility. So it's sort of a slow process to come back to your regular life. And if people can stay longer, and a lot of times what the people who will be in our extended program will be the younger people who perhaps have not yet, gotten into their careers and can take the time to learn those life skills that they're going to need, especially if their lives have been really taken over by their addiction and they haven't spent a lot of time in jobs and school and learning. There are going to be a lot of things that those people need to learn. So I just to go back to what you were asking, though, I think the continuum of care idea is really what our philosophy is, that we deal with people from the moment they call. When a family member calls, we do the pre-admission coaching. When we get them into care, then we've got the family program for those family members.
Right.
They'll be in primary care for either 28 or 42 or perhaps 90 days. And then we offer our sober living homes, and then we offer our West Vancouver outpatient office, which has a number of different services. So that's what the continuum of care is about.
It's a philosophy.
It is. It's how we view recovery, that it has many stages and that it's a lifelong journey after you leave treatment. But
the most urgent stage clearly
Yes.
would be when you're brought to the Orchard or you sign yourselves in, and I'm sure that varies from individual to individual.
Lots of people sign themselves in.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm sure they do, but
Yeah.
others arrive with assistance, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's the urgent case right there. This is a person who's in real trouble, who has, for whatever reason, seen fit to arrive at your doorstep. Now, you already talked about the stuff on the phone, the pre-admission coaching, because family members do call, don't they? Go, look, okay, we're at crisis point here, and we may or may not need an intervention, but we sure need a place to go to. So can we count on a bed at your place? You get those calls all the time, don't you?
We get those calls every day.
Right.
And a lot of the time, some of the things that they want to know are how long can the person stay?
Right.
And what are the stages of care that you do provide. And so when somebody goes from our primary care program into our continuing care or sober living house, they are integrated back. They start where they still come to the Orchard, and then they go into our West Vancouver outpatient program. And so they have 2 days of programming in our West Vancouver office. So after a certain length of time, they can then start either going back to school and doing our programming. And this is all about keeping your recovery your primary work for a little while.
Okay.
So your recovery is your recovery is always your most important. then comes your family, and then comes your work, however your pyramid looks. But you have to keep your recovery first and foremost at all times, because without recovery, if I don't stay sober myself, I'm not going to be a good mother anymore.
Right.
You know, in my case, I wouldn't even have my job anymore.
Of course.
But, you know, so there's the consequences will follow. So being in the extended care program gives people a chance to get back into life and have life events happen around them, still supported by the treatment center.
Right, and as far as the urgent cases, again, we talked about this in our last segment. There is a detox element to some people who come, and of course you have doctors at the Orchard who supervise this process, whether it's alcohol or some narcotic of some description, and there can be a pretty nasty detox moment or two along the way, all of which is 100% medically supervised, right, Anne-Marie?
Absolutely. Yeah, the doctor is in and sees all new patients and puts together a protocol of what their particular detox is going to look like if they need one.
Right.
You know, in certain cases, some people may arrive sober, but most times people are arriving still drunk or using drugs, and they need to be monitored. So we have 24-hour nursing staff, and we have doctors who will always be seeing the new patients new clients when they come in.
What is a sober living house, Lorinda? Is it on the grounds of the Orchard then?
What we have is we have different locations, and so those people that are in the sober living house they've completed the primary care program.
Okay, so that's dedicated to one area.
Yes.
And then so there are different areas allocated to different activities.
Yes.
Okay.
They're not part of our 25 primary care clients anymore.
Okay.
They do have access to our facilities, so they still have access to our fitness center. They can still come back and come into group if they choose to. So they still have the support of the treatment center, but they are then now going into and taking the programming from our outpatient office in West Vancouver.
Okay. Now,
and it's separate houses. There's a house for the women and a house for the men.
Okay.
And they are separate from our primary care residence. The primary care residence is all in one location, and then the sober living homes are also on Bowen Island, but they're not attached.
And it's not necessarily the case where everyone goes from the primary care recovery zone to a sober living residence, or is that part of the process of leaving the Orchard? You spend at least some time in one of the men's or women's sober living facilities?
No, what I would say actually the majority of the people probably complete the 6-week program. And then from there, there are others that will choose to stay on longer. And sometimes those people, they're often the 20 in their 20s, but we also have people that have had older people that their detox was quite severe, or and so they need to stay longer because it took them longer to get fully functioning again.
Oh, okay. So it just was such a rough detox. They're just a couple of weeks behind the curve because of that physical getting better.
Yeah.
A note that was included in my notes for the program today: recovery is a process, not an event. The event was Recovery Day, Anne-Marie, a few weeks ago in downtown Vancouver, celebrating the fact that recovery is taking place, and more people are participating in positive recovery activities, and that's a good thing. But it really, that's the day, that's the event. Recovery itself is a process, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think what you were just asking about, most of our clients will complete the primary care. Some will go on to the sober living,
right,
and still others will choose to just continue maybe one-on-one counseling with the counselor that they were seeing when they were doing the primary care, and still others might go to our counselor-facilitated weekly process group, or still others may decide to go home and live at home but continue to take the 2 days a week of programming that we offer as an outpatient option in our West Vancouver office. So there's many ways that they can stay connected to the Orchard. They don't have to necessarily continue on in the sober living. They can still be part of the programming that we offer through a variety of ways.
What about home? What if they want to go back home? Okay, I've had it here. I'm good. I'm fine. I just want to go back and get my life back now and take another run at my real life with a clean, sober perspective. How about those people that person has been living with forever and a day, annoying them, driving them crazy, uprooting and upsetting their lives on a daily basis? How do they prepare for the return of an individual from the orchard who's gone through all of this? Do you help family members prepare for the return of someone who's been through the recovery process, Anne-Marie?
Well, hopefully the family has taken part in our family programming, which happens every Saturday, and then they can visit on Sunday. So if the family members have taken part in that, then they've already been given some tools. They've probably been explained what Al-Anon is. They've probably had sessions with the counselor, with their family member to talk about how that's going to be for them coming home. And then hopefully, again, they will continue to go to Al-Anon and continue to support their loved one, to continue to go to meetings and do what they need to do for their recovery. But I mean, that's the major thing, is to come and be part of the programming. If you've been suffering with an addict living in your home, the best tools that you can do for yourself is to come and take part in our Family Day programming.
Well, and I think, Lorinda, that would be so useful. How do family members get past just being angry? I mean, really, this has been going on forever. My life is just about burnt because of you, you turkey. And now you're trying to better your life, and God bless you for it. How do I become a person who can help that be accomplished?
Right. So,
and not be mad at you anymore.
So, first of all, is that understanding that the addict is first and foremost hurting themselves. They are usually, they're not at the point where they are going out and having a good time anymore. So there needs to be a level of learning and understanding for the family members, and some teaching around empathy. And I think one of the ways to do that is, if you are in a group where you're hearing other families and the other people that are in recovery in the treatment center, so the other clients, sharing their stories and sharing their experience, you'll often find that you will have empathy you'll listen to the stories of others, and you will have empathy for them.
Right.
And then you'll realize, oh, well, I feel something for all of these other people that are in this group with me. Why am I not feeling it for my own partner, or my own child, or my own parent? So that being in process group and the learning that you get while you're in the treatment center it's invaluable for the family to continue on, and the learning. You need to come from a place of love and understanding.
Right. If
you're in this for the long haul, and if you're a parent especially, or if it's your parent, you're in this forever with the person. So, some people may end up separating or divorcing, but if you have that intention that you are going to stay married, then it takes two. Both people have to be doing some work.
Right, and both people have some learning to do, Anne-Marie, because not only does the individual who is the addict have to relearn a lot of behavior patterns, the people closest to that individual, who are still trying to stick with him or her through thick and thin, also have to learn maybe even new words to describe emotions, and learn about triggering events, and all of this stuff. It's this brand new world in terms of information, isn't there?
Absolutely. I think most people who have been, it's a family disease. It affects the whole family, which means that the whole family needs to get help, whether that family is, a couple, or whether it's children. And, everyone's been affected, and everyone, does need to learn new language and new skills. And Al-Anon and Alateen, there's lots of programs out there that can help. Codependence Anonymous. These are all programs that have been adult children of alcoholics. There's a lot of programs that have been designed specifically for the different members of the family to get the help that they need as well.
And so, in addition to the individuals who are in recovery, the person who is addicted, the Orchard also has numerous support service options for family members, plus all sorts of referrals, links to other agencies that can continue the process of recovery.
Yes, the counselor will prepare with each client an aftercare plan, and that will look like, choosing meetings to go to, perhaps finding a counselor for that person if they're out of town, and it will include, offering them the different services that, of course, the Orchard provides, the ones I've mentioned, our weekly process group, our outpatient, and then also we will refer them to local centers like the Avalon, which is a women's drop-in center. There's 3 of those locally in Vancouver. So we will go through all of that with a client when they're leaving, so that they know exactly, what they're going to need to do to maintain their recovery.
This is, I'm sorry, Lorinda, you were
There's also doing an accountability contract with the family in some cases. So we will help the family and our client sit together, do it over the phone, whichever they need to do, to put together a plan. And so this is what I'm committing to do, and this is what the family's committing to do.
Right.
And then they can predetermine the outcome. So if you don't follow, like if somebody only wants to stay in treatment for 28 days or they're going to stay for 42, the family member may want them to stay longer, but they're not going to. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, what are you going to do? How are you going to accomplish this? What are you committing to do? So we will give the family member that extra help to work with our client to say, this is what I'm committing to do.
Right, okay.
And if I don't, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the outcome, or what are the consequences going to be if I don't follow through with this?
Well, I think it's very important that our listeners understand that not only is the Orchard about helping addicts recover from addictions to alcohol and various other substances, but there's also lots of room and lots of consideration and time given to family members. And if you want to be one of those family members because you're feeling a little tender yourself and could use a little support to lean on, it's all there for you. And you mentioned, Anne-Marie, just moments ago, you mentioned the Avalon Recovery Society. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will increase our studio panel from 2, Lorinda Strang and Anne-Marie McCullough, to 3, and we'll invite Helen Burnham from the Avalon Recovery Society to join us on Recovery Radio right after this quick timeout.
Delivering relevant and beneficial consumer information. This is Experts on Call, and there's more still ahead on AM 650.